Explain again about central bank and when the gold will be taken out of Conakry. Even though I know for the benefit of the world international buyer, can you explain to me one by one again?
Yes, I told you that the buyer inspects the gold in the seller's office,
Mm-hmm.
and the once confirmed, the buyer make a bank transfer from his bank to the seller's bank. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because we need the payment confirmation receipt from the buyer's bank to
Mm-hmm.
attach to the application that will be sent to the central bank
Mm-hmm.
for the smelting and assaying of the gold that will be exported to the buyer's destination.
Mm-hmm.
The gold cannot go to the central bank if the central bank does not receive the payment receipt from the buyer's bank stating that the gold is not being smuggled, the gold has been paid for.
Mm-hmm. Now
Do you
clarify.
understand?
I
So
need not.
once,
Hang on.
yeah,
I need to have a clarification because they might feel confused. This is live, January 1st, 2024. The buyer might say, well, Amina, where I'm going to send the money to the central bank or what? Mm-hmm.
the central bank is not the owner of the gold.
Correct.
The owner of the gold is the seller, and the
Mm-hmm.
seller is the authorized export license holder. He has the authorization to take the gold to the central bank. And
Mm-hmm.
you cannot take the gold to the central bank if you don't have the payment receipt from the buyer, because the central bank will not accept the gold if the gold is not paid for. They must see the payment receipt from the buyer's bank to the seller bank stating that the 10 kilos, the 20 kilos, the 50 kilos, the 30 kilos was paid for. Then the central bank will accept the gold to smelt assay. And once the gold is assayed and smelted, the gold is taken from the central bank to the airport by the central bank security armor car.
Yes, correct.
And buyer and seller will take delivery of the gold at the airport. The buyer sign, the seller sign. And if it is a hand carry, the buyer takes the gold with him on the flight. If it is high quantity, it goes through the cargo.
Mm. It's true because remember when I was in Conakry, the gold was being carried by the armor car and brought that to the custom area and hand over to the buyer. Remember, we went there to the airport.
That's correct.
Yeah, we,
And you even took some pictures of the armor car, right?
that's correct. I have a picture in armor car. Yes, I took a picture.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
That is the way it works. That is the way it works. While the transfer is taking 72 hours to arrive in the seller's account, bank account, the buyer can send the payment receipt. While the transfer is taking 72 hours, we need the payment receipt to show the government will not allow the gold to enter the central bank if you don't have the payment receipt from the buyer bank stating that the gold was paid for.
For example, if the buyer,
They are
okay,
more rigid,
for
and they are
example,
more rigid when it comes to 2024 because the announcement from the president and the Minister of Mine, they are more rigid on that 2024.
is it? Do you think it's strict, right?
Yes, they are very much strict on that. Very, very much strict. If you
Why?
want to buy,
Why?
you must,
Is there any reason?
because a lot of gold has been smuggled out of the country illegally.
Hmm.
A lot of gold has been smuggled out of the country illegally. More than more than 3 to 5 tons have been smuggled out of the country illegally by Chinese, by Indians, by Africans, and all these things. So they cannot accept any longer. It is the country that is losing. So the Association of Gold Miners have submitted this problem to the government, and the government is rigid about this time around. You
That,
cannot come and
that's
talk
very
about
good.
CIF.
That's very good because
You cannot come and talk about CIF.
yeah, that's very good because most of the buyer from Dubai they think that they can get the gold pay taxes. Mostly are Indians. Yes.
The government have discovered a new strategy. A
What?
lot of buyers coming into Guinea Conakry buying gold, making it out of jewelries in Guinea Conakry and taking it out of the country. Some of them are wearing the jewelries of huge quantity and taking it out of Conakry because they don't want to pay the government tax, the government charges. And the government have discovered all that. Any buyer coming to Guinea Conakry, you must, after inspection of the gold in the seller's office, make a payment from bank to bank and give the payment receipt to the buyer, to the seller. Once the seller has the payment receipt, the seller will apply to the government that we have a buyer and we have a 10 kilos or 20 kilos and we want to do smelting and assay and it is to be transported to the buyer destination. Once the buyer see the application and done all the payment receipt from the buyer's bank, the, the bank, the central bank will now write asking you to come over with your gold.
I was been asked that. I was been
That
asked.
process is not done.
I was been asked a few hours ago before strike January 1st. Now we are now on January 1st. In Conakry still in the in the afternoon, right? Mm-hmm. Is it
Yes.
in the afternoon? Now the question of the
Yes.
buyer, even though I know the answer, but I'm going to ask question because this is live. For example, I am the buyer and you are the seller. I inspect the gold in the office and I like it, and then I will pay my partial deposit, partial payment. And then when I get all the documentation from the sellers or the central bank, because the central bank will give the certificate of clearance, then that is the time the buyer pay the balance before the gold take out of the country. This is what my discussion with the buyer few hours ago before strike January 1st. Is that possible?
So let me be honest with you. It's not going to be possible to pay partial payment because you, for example, you are buying 20 kilos.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you are buying 20 kilos. Then we must submit this 20 kilo to the central bank for smelting and assaying and exporting. Now, the central bank is demanding a payment slate for the 20 kilos. How can we tell the central bank that partial payment has been done and when the documents are procured, then the balance payment will be done? That is not possible. This is a government entity and everything there must be according to the law. So it is not possible for partial payment.
Now, what is the guarantee of the money that I'm paying the gold? Because this is the question 3 hours ago. That
The guarantee is the seller is ready to give a collateral of gold equivalent to the amount that has been paid by you for the quantity you have purchased. The buyer can give a collateral of gold equivalent to the amount, but the buyer cannot tell the central bank a partial payment will be there was done and balance will be done. Nothing is condition. Nothing will be on condition basis at the central bank. When
no,
you take your gold to the central bank and the gold enter the central bank, it doesn't come out. It
le-
goes directly to the airport.
let
There
me
is nothing
explain first.
negotiable there.
Okay, let us clarify. The seller will give the collateral, right? So, who is going to keep the gold as a collateral? The collateral, how many collateral? Because, for example, I'm the buyer. Assuming I'm the buyer and you're the seller, and I'm not comfortable paying in full, what is the guarantee? So you give me the collateral. Where I'm gonna keep the collateral because I don't have a license to carry.
We have a safe. We have a safe. We all have a safe in all international hotels, in all international banks around the world. We have a safe. And now, if the buyer pay for 10 kilos, we give a gold equivalent of 10 kilos. The gold is going to be put into the safe, and the buyer have the code. He will put the code and have the code and the key of the safe. The safe cannot be opened until the buyer gets his gold to his final destination. This is for.
But I thought the gold will be brought to central bank when I inspect in the office. Assuming I'm the buyer, we're talking about an example. Uh,
No, Mrs. Ford, you don't understand what I'm saying. You ask a question, and I'm answering your question, but you're not understanding the answer.
no, I do
How
understand.
with the collateral?
I do
Talking about
understand.
the collateral, how can you keep the collateral?
So where the collateral will be kept? That I already paid the payment. This is talking about the buyer.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We get a safe. The buyer and the seller goes to the shop or to the store and get a save.
It's very confusing. No, hang on, hang on. The international buyer is listening to our conversation live. So I just want to clarify, I'm using myself as an example, and you are a seller as an example. Now, going back to the collateral, right? Because the buyer will say, if I'm gonna pay in full, what is the guarantee that I could get the gold? Because Africa is a noted to cheating. So give me the answer, because this is the question that
Even the Western world is noted for cheating as well.
Sorry.
Even the Western world is noted for cheating as well. And you are aware of that.
No, no, no.
What we have gone through.
I'm just giving you an example. You're not giving me the answer directly. Assuming I'm the buyer, because the buyer was talking to me 3 hours ago before January 1st. Now we are now in January because we are 1 o'clock in the morning. Now going back to the question is very clear. I will repeat again. Assuming I am the buyer and you are the seller, assuming, because you work for the company. Now, you're gonna request from me as a buyer to make a full payment. Now, a full payment, what is the guarantee that I can get the gold? Okay, that is the question of the buyer 3 hours ago when I interviewed the buyer, even though I know the answer. Now, we are talking about live here in order for the buyer to listen globally. So, we're going back to the collateral. Do I have to keep the collateral being a buyer? Because the gold is already in the central bank, right? So when I pay, the gold will be brought to the central bank. Now, because I'm going to pay in full, I'm scared. What is the guarantee that the gold will be given to me? How long that the paperwork would be processed? And how long that the payment would be cleared? That is the question of the buyer 3 hours ago. Mm-hmm.
Allow me to answer your question.
Go ahead.
First, the paperwork will take maximum 73 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You and I, we know the paperwork takes maximum 72 hours,
Mm-hmm.
minimum 48 hours. Number two, the transfer takes 72 hours to clear in the Republic of Guinea, Conakry,
Mm-hmm.
which you are aware.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the buyer wants to know if he gives his gold, if he gives his full payment, what is the guarantee? If the buyer buys, the gold, for example, 10 kilos,
Mm-hmm.
okay, normally we don't. You and I, we know all the buyers and you brought it. It's not a question of collateral. But when the question of collateral comes in, the buyer must be comfortable and must be assured. The seller, in this regard, pays a quantity of gold equivalent to the collateral. I mean, to the amount paid for in full. How can the buyer keep this gold, the collateral? We cannot save. That's why we do. The buyer and the seller go to the store and get a save. Now, the amount he paid for in full, the equivalent will be in gold, will be put into the safe. He, the buyer, put his or a fingerprint of a code and lock. Most hotels in Guinea Conakry have a safe. Even in your hotel, they are safe. Even in your hotel,
No. May I interrupt you? May I interrupt you so that the buyer will not feel
Then,
confused?
Mr. So answer the question then.
No.
Answer the question. You know the answer. Answer the buyer.
No. I know the answer. I just want to have the answer from you because this is live. This is live conversation. For the
But you
sake.
tell me no. So answer
No, no.
it for me.
No, hang on. I said wait. I have to interrupt you to ask a question to clarify to the world because my conversation with you is live. This is for January 1st, 2024. I had a conversation with the buyer 3 hours ago, December 31st. Now we are now in January. Okay? You have to listen to my question as well because this is for the benefit between us and the buyer. Right.
This is for, I have listened to your question very well. I have listened to your question.
let me talk first. Now, hang on.
answering your question, but you
Le-
kept saying no. So that's what
I
I'm
did
saying.
not say
You can
the
answer.
way I said no, meaning to say you have to give me time to barge in and ask question. That is what I mean.
Okay.
That was I mean.
All right.
You people in Africa sometimes cannot comprehend. Okay, now going back to the buyer 3 hours ago, right? Because when I explained to him that when you come to the office, the gold will be brought to the central bank. Now going back to you to our discussion that the gold, the buyer will be given a collateral. We're talking about the collateral because assuming I'm the buyer, I'm scared I paid in full. And what happened if the gold would not be given to me or ship it in the to my destination that I'm gonna be stuck in Guinea? So that is the question of the buyer. I know the answer. I know, but because this is live, I want your answer so that when the buyer hear our conversation live, then the buyer understand. Going back to collateral, where I'm gonna keep the collateral, I thought when I pay the gold, the full payment, I thought that the gold will be brought to the central bank. Is that correct?
The gold you paid for in full will be brought to the central bank and not the collateral.
Okay. So the whole amount, the whole 10 kilos brought to the central bank, and then I would be given a collateral while the gold is in central bank. Is that right?
That's correct.
And
That's
then
what
the
I'm trying to say.
okay, then the collateral I have to return back to the office because the 10 kilos is already in the central bank.
No.
I need the
The
answer for that.
collateral,
Mm-hmm.
the collateral, what is a collateral? The collateral is what you pay for, you are getting a guarantee. Until the gold can reach to the seller's destination, I mean the buyer's destination, before the gold, the collateral can be released back to the seller.
Okay. That is the question. That is the answer that I want to hear, because the buyer say, okay, I pay the full amount, and I'm given a collateral, and the gold is in the central bank. So the collateral, do I have to return back to the owner because the full 10 kilos is in the central bank while the process export documentation has been processed? Is that correct?
Yes, this is
Okay.
for
Yeah.
once the buyer has the collateral, once the process of the 10 kilo in the settlement has been procured, the buyer receives his gold at the airport. All the documentations at the airport and ready to take the flight with his gold. The collateral is released to the seller. I think that is simple to
Okay.
understand, right?
Now, that's a good answer. Now, before the gold will be brought by the armor car from the central bank to the airport, I need to see the full export documentation. I need to see a copy before the gold will be brought by the armor car from the central bank to the airport. As a
That is
buyer's
correct.
request.
Yes, yes. Before the gold comes to the airport by the central bank armor car, all the documents for the export of the 10 kg will be given to the seller on behalf of the buyer. So the seller must show and give all these original documents to the buyer before the gold arrives at the airport, because the buyer and the seller will be together at the airport, as you know.
I know that. Okay. I know Conakry, but because this is January 24, I want the buyer to hear our conversation so that the buyer would not feel confused this time. Because there are so many
Yes,
buyers
you are
stuck.
correct.
Yeah, let
You
me
are
finish.
correct. You are
Let,
correct.
let
You
me
are correct.
finish. Let
Yes,
me
you are
finish.
correct. The buyer need to have. Okay.
Let me finish. There are so many buyers already stuck in Conakry asking me, okay, I'm the buyer, bring the gold to central bank. I told them it cannot be. You need to come to the office. We need to know your background, whether you have a a proof of fund, because once the gold will be brought to the central bank and the gold cannot be taken out of central bank without any full payment. Mhm. So there is a buyer already in Conakry, stuck in Conakry. They want to buy gold. They want to come to central bank. I said it cannot be. You need to come to the office. The central bank will only receive when the seller advise the central bank that he is going to bring the gold on behalf of the client of the seller in order to process all paperwork. Does that make sense?
That's correct.
Mhm. I just want to clarify so that this international buyer would be aware, because they were being naive. There's a lot of seller in Conakry. Okay, here's my price, pay taxes, and then the gold didn't arrive in Dubai. There's a lot of buyer from
Let,
Dubai was
let me
been
answer to that
deceived.
question. Let me
Go
answer
ahead.
to that preoccupation. Let me answer to that.
Okay, go
A
ahead.
lot of buyers, a lot of buyers follow cheap
Mm-hmm.
procedure and cheap price and cheap
Mm-hmm.
process. And at the end of the day, they find themselves in such a situation. Now, Wilhelmina 4 is on all platforms and telling the buyer exactly what happens and what needs to be done so that you get your goal and you be happy. But most buyers will not want to accept the procedure of what Wilhelmina 4 is giving. So they go at the back and get cheaper procedure, cheaper price, and at the end of the day, they are stuck in Guinea Conakry.
Correct.
That's the
It's
reason.
true. It's true. It's true. It's
That's the
true.
reason. Why can't you go by the procedure of Wilhelmina 4? Wilhelmina 4 has been coming to Guinea for so many years, have been bringing a lot of buyers. References are there. So if you see them stuck in Guinea Conakry, it's because again, you pay taxes. It is not possible to pay taxes and take a go out of Guinea Conakry. It's not possible.
It
And
is
they never
very.
tell you that
It
it's
is
a
not.
lie.
It's not possible. The buyer has to pay the gold because gold is money. Okay, money
Gold
cannot be
is money.
given to a stranger unless the stranger prove himself that he is really a buyer and he has paper money, and the seller has the solid money. Does that make sense?
Listen, let me tell you something, Mrs. Ford. Most of the buyers calling themselves buyers, they are not buyers. Most of the buyers say CIF and paying taxes. They have signed contracts with refineries in Dubai, in Europe. These are sophisticated brokers and not amended. They have signed contracts. They have commission with those refineries. So they're telling you, bring the gold to Dubai, bring the gold to Turkey, bring the gold to this country. Now, they will sell for a higher price to the refinery and giving you a cheaper price and they get it more. They are not really ready the direct buyers. We know all these things.
I know, even myself, I know. In fact, I said to this buyer, you are just very fortunate because instead of getting expensive price, we give you 8% tax included, but our selling price based on the world market, based whatever the price of the day, like 4 days ago, the price of gold was 67. So I said to this buyer, our selling price is $61,000 per kilo. And the buyer said, too expensive. Of course, you're buying expensive item. Therefore, you have to pay for it if you need the supply. There's a saying, supply and demand determine the price. So when I found out the buyer I interview, he's not a buyer, he's a joker buyer.
Of course.
I called
That's
him
what I'm
joker.
saying. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. If you were going to tell that buyer $30,000, $40,000, he will come in because you want lies. You want cheap price. You see? But you told him the truth. And he don't want to accept that.
Because
These are brokers.
they wanted a
Sophisticated brokers
more
pretending
discount.
to be buyers.
There was an American I interviewed, American. His ancestor is from Africa. He's from United States. He was asking 25% discount. You know what I said to this American
Oh
guy?
my God.
You know what I said to this American guy? You are a crook. You are a crook. Hmm.
25% discount?
Yes. And I told him, don't you know how to mine the gold is not easy? The seller lose his worker and the seller has an overhead and you become instant millionaire for doing nothing. Okay? To me, you're crook. I'm sorry. We don't deal with crook buyer. He's African American.
We take the gold from 1,000 kilometers Sibiri to Conakry.
That's
Lot of
right.
risks involved. Lot of risks involved taking the gold from the mines. Conakry, that's number one. Number two, the miners are working, they are digging under the ground, going under the ground, and sometimes the ground fall on them, they die. Then we come and give you 25% discount because you are better than us. These are jokers, Mrs. Ford.
They're
And in
crook.
2024, we're not going to entertain such people.
No, to me, they are criminals. They're thieves. They're crook. And I told them, you are ripping off Africa. And your ancestor is African. And you migrated in
This
United
is the
States.
reason, now I've come back to the point. This is the reason why the government of the Republic of Guinea demands that the gold is paid for before it enters the central bank because they are getting a lot of human casualties on the very mines.
Mm.
A
I
lot of human
agree.
casualties on the very mines.
I agree on the government. I'm with the government. The buyer has to pay. You want the product, you pay for it. Just like in real estate. You know, when you buy property, sometimes the buyer pay 50% as a deposit, a holding deposit. Yeah. But I told the buyer, we can discuss that in the office when you come. So, but anyway, it's nice that you clarify, even though I know the system. I know, but for the sake of the buyer, for the sake of January 2024, this buyer listen to our conversation, they would realize that gold is not easy to take out unless they paid in full. Even in Mali, even in Sierra Leone, the government has changed as well. No such foreigner can take the gold out of the country without full payment. Hmm.
That's right.
So, but anyway, that you clarify and the international buyer is listening to our conversation. And this is the operation manager of the seller in Conakry. And Happy New Year to everyone. Wilhelmina is here. When is the office reopen?
We are resuming work on the 7th of January, inshallah.
Okay, 7th of January, but Mrs. Ford open 7 days a week. I am here to accept your order, international buyer. And anyway, thank you very much of our conversation, and we will catch up and see you soon in Conakry, Guinea.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Ford.
Now, international buyer, you hear the operation manager explaining about how you are going to get the gold, whether you buy gold in Sierra Leone, Conakry, and Mali, exactly the same. There is a process. There is no way you can get gold CIF. There is no way you can get block fund. Those seller offer you a cheap price. You are waiting for disaster. The gold will not leave the country of origin without the receipt of payment called cash inflow. Anyway, that's a very good conversation that I have. Then the buyer can listen before you make a decision to travel. Do your planning. Do not rush. Don't be excited that you were being offered cheap price like in Kampala, like in Nairobi. You were being offered. At the end of the day, you were being scammed. Then Italian buyer, they went to Tanzania. What happened? Disaster. Another another Dubai guy, they went to Sierra Leone. Disaster. Another Nigerian fellow, he lives in America, and he was looking for gold in Sierra Leone. Disaster. Mhm. So I'm sorry if you're watching this video, Mr. Baya. 2024, we don't entertain buyers without invitation. To those joker broker floating around, collecting information from broker to broker, it wouldn't work and you wouldn't get any conclusion. 2024, finish all the time waster. We will not entertain any chain of joker broker. If you're working for the buyer, you make sure that your buyer is really a buyer. Because when you come to Wilhelmina, Wilhelmina is very, very strict. Now, I have a conversation with the operation manager in Conakry. The same procedure in Mali, Ghana, Kampala, Nairobi, exactly the same. You have to follow the government because the government losing income because of the scrupulous buyer and the scrupulous seller cutting corner. At the end of the day, you are considered as a smuggler. At the end of the day, you are considered as a gold launderer. Thank you very much, and I shall see you tomorrow, January 2nd. Today is January 1st. In your end, you're still enjoying because we have a time difference. This is my virtual office. My job is to entertain you. My job is to interview you. My job is to accept your order. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant good morning to all of you around the world.